brought up elections a while back, and the election results in this state surprised many Republicans. Expected to be a lot closer, and the most popular governor maybe in decades loses running for the Senate, loses as badly as Governor Romney.
Yeah.
What's the message for Republicans in Wisconsin?
Oh, I mean, for us it was interesting because it was a split. I mean, as much as Romney lost, Thompson lost, a few months earlier I won by a bigger margin than I did with more votes and a bigger voter turnout than I did in 2010. Republicans in the Assembly gained a seat, went up to 60. And Republicans in the Senate that had temporarily lost the majority in the recall election picked up 2 seats and now have a controlling majority in both. Along with it, even federal races, 2 House freshmen who both were targeted early in 2010 as right pickoffs for the Democrats, both won with about 55% of the vote.
But if you total the total vote across the country,
yeah, sure,
there was more votes in the House for Democrats than for Republicans.
Sure. Well, actually our state, as I've said before, is very indicative of the rest of the country, where in terms of not only that it's split, but how it's split. If you look in some of questions of redistricting, I said no, it's more basic than that. 5-3, Romney won 5 of the congressional districts, Obama won 3. Why, on a Republican-Democrat breakdown, it's why statewide elections are different than even congressional or legislative is there are more regions in the state that tend to be not huge majorities, but tend to lean more Republican than Democrat.
So what does it mean to Republicans, though?
Well, there are big pockets in Milwaukee and in Madison that are overwhelmingly, disproportionately vote Democrat. What I think it means for someone like me, and it's true elsewhere, is that we have to show as Republicans that we've got a message that resonates with where people are at. We've got to show, because I think the biggest single reason why Mitt Romney did not win was even though people thought he was better on the economy, they thought he was better on all these other polls, the one sticking point that I think was the key to the election was they didn't feel like, of the 2 candidates, they thought Barack Obama was better than Mitt Romney in looking out for people like them. And I think what that really showed was Romney's campaign's failed premise was they wanted the question to be, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? Because they felt people weren't, and if they answered honestly, the answer would be no, and therefore the conclusion would be we need to elect someone new. I argued even the day after my recall election that while that could be part of the equation, that was missing the boat with where voters are at, having just run yet another election. My belief is it can't just be a referendum on your opponent. It can be a contrast, but that you've got to offer something to the voters more. You've got to offer a vision and a hope and an inspiration. I think that's what we did in our recall election. We didn't just say, here's the difference between me and Tom Barrett. Here's what we took we took our record, we ran out, we were proud of it, and then we projected forward and say, and this is where we're going. This is how we're not where we want to be on jobs yet, but this is how we're going to get there. We're not where we're at in the budget yet, but this is how we're going to get there. I don't think Romney effectively offered that. And so the president's campaign, I think, was very effective in changing that question around to say, well, yeah, many of you may not be better than you were 4 years ago, but we're getting better. And oh, by the way, my opponent is a rich guy who only cares about rich guys. I'm the guy who's looking out for you. I'm the guy who's going to care for you. As Republicans, I think the message we have to have is not that we fundamentally change and remake and flip-flop all over ourselves, but rather is to say we've got a good core set of principles. We just don't do a good job of articulating that, and more importantly, we don't go out of our way to reach to every voter out there. So I get passionate about this, but I'd say if you're a young voter, which some have said the Republicans were out of whack with, I'd say, you know what, if you're somebody just coming out of college and you're looking to take on a career and you're excited about the future, and it's not just about making a salary, it's about having a career you like and a life that you like and sitting out, we've got a message of opportunity for you that opens the door to more freedom and more prosperity. If you're a working family barely getting by and you've got dreams of someday moving out of that duplex into a home of your own and seeing your kids get the education you want to move on and have a career of their own, and you want to move up in the world, we're the party of opportunity that's going to offer you a hand up and not a handout and help you down that path to live your dream and to have more freedom and more prosperity. And if you're an immigrant, whether you're a recent immigrant from Mexico or you're an immigrant from anywhere around the world, you're coming here because you want to live the American dream. You want to live your piece of the dream, and more importantly, you want your children, your grandchildren to have an even better life than you ever had. We're the party of opportunity that's going to help you live the American dream. We're going to help you by giving you more freedom and more prosperity to control your own destiny. I don't think we share that message, at least our standard bearer did. And I think more importantly, even for the times when he might have got close to that, I don't think for those groups I just mentioned, that not only immigrants but ethnic minorities and others, that we had a candidate or other candidates who voters like that felt was actually interested in who they were and what was important to them. And we've got to do a better job of reaching out, finding new ways to communicate, and going to places we don't typically go to communicate that message, because I think it's a powerful message. I just think, part of it is to be believable. You've got to not just say it once in a campaign, but say it over and over and over again, and show some details to follow it up.